Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hopefully this is a little bit better quality. I got a new camera finally, so I'm testing it out. But today's video I want to talk about, I think I've been on Linux for 2 months now that I switched over to Linux as my daily driver. Now, just because I'm making my daily driver doesn't mean that it's the one thing that I use for every single thing. Because of my job, I do need to use Windows, and for certain aspects of stuff that I do at home, I also need to use Windows because of certain things. For instance, like I'm updating my resume, and since it's on Microsoft Word, and I know that everybody else uses Microsoft Word, I just tend to edit that in Microsoft Word and not do Linux's free version. But yeah, so as my daily driver for my coding and all that, I am using Ubuntu Linux, and I also dual booted Parrot Linux right next to it. Now, let me give you guys my point of view. Do I miss Windows? No, I do not. Just because I've been messing with Linux for quite a while, that I get used to whatever it has to offer very easily. Is there certain stuff that I wish it had? Yeah. Um, do I wish that it was a little bit easier to install stuff on it? Yes, absolutely. Um, but is it? Do I miss Windows because of those things? No, I don't. Just because like now the new Linux distros are very easy to use. It's like any other operating system pretty much out there. Uh, it's like so you can find stuff how to install stuff online very easily. So it's not that hard. Um, I don't. The only negative thing that I do have, just because I haven't figured it out yet, but I know there's people out there that maybe haven't figured out, is that I have, as you guys can see, I have my two screens right here plus my laptop, right, which is the one that I obviously have the operating system, but I just can't figure out yet how to use all three screens. I've tried different docking stations. As you guys can see, I have this right here. So I've tried very many different things. I've tried installing a bunch of stuff on Ubuntu, everything. And to be honest with you, I just feel like the OS isn't really talking to my video card properly, or maybe it's just a Linux thing that I have to find a docking station that Linux can read as, hey, it has two HDMI ports, make one individual, but I haven't found one yet. If you guys have any suggestions, I would greatly appreciate it, because I want to use both of my big screens and my laptop screen at the same time. It just helps out a lot, you know what I mean? So that's pretty much the only issue that I'm having. Now, when it comes to installing stuff on Linux, Ubuntu, whatever, it's getting a lot easier. There's still like VS. When I installed VS Code, I did have to go through a couple extra steps to get it working properly. Um, when I installed Chrome on there, but a lot of you guys, I know I'm gonna get hate. Why would I install Chrome on Ubuntu? But I did. I just want to test it out. It works fine, but again, I have to go through a couple extra steps. But other than that, guys, I mean, it's really like it's up to par with any other OS. I've been uh, I've been using it for my coding, and it works flawlessly. Like, I have not had a single issue thus far when it comes to VS Code, uh, pushing and pulling from GitHub. By repositories, everything works fine on there. So there's really nothing in that aspect that I can say like, hey, this is the one thing that missing or that it's messing up and won't talk right. No, everything works properly. It talks properly to GitHub, to everything. um, Now, the only thing that I'm really having trouble with is, like I was trying to use the free editor on Ubuntu. And I didn't really care for it. I'd rather just go back to Adobe, and that's what I'm using on Windows, just because that's another thing. Adobe Cloud Services doesn't work on Ubuntu or any Linux distro that I know of. But besides that, again, I have my Windows machine to edit the videos, or I even do it on my phone if I have to. So there's really nothing like gigantic that I'm gonna sit here and tell you guys like, oh, don't use Ubuntu because it's gonna ruin your every. Absolutely not. It's safe. It's really easy to use. There's a lot of variations that you can use. Like at Ubuntu, you have GNOME, you have Debian, all that stuff. So it's like, even if you have this Ubuntu distro that you feel like it's too slow, you can go ahead and install the GNOME version or whatever you want, which I have, and they work fine. Again, they work fine with my Parrot OS. The only thing that I've noticed that it doesn't work with but Lenovo Yoga is because the Lenovo Yoga that I have is a 2-in-1, so it works as a tablet and as a laptop. But when I rotate it, the Parrot version doesn't rotate along with it, whereas the Ubuntu version does, which is awesome because again, I can put it any which way I want, and it works fine. But yeah, guys, there's really not negatives. Like I can't. Besides it, we're not working with. I could easily use it with What About Screens. Then I have the PC screen, the laptop screen also. Um, it works fine. I mean, I'm not like, this is the first time that a long period of time using a Linux distro, and I'm not hating it. I mean, I'm really enjoying it a lot. I enjoy. Uh, the user interface. I enjoy the way that it talks with the apps that I'm using, my VS Code. Um, it works flawlessly. Like Discord works fine on it. I can't say much bad things about it because it's just really, for me, especially since I like to use Terminal a lot, I enjoy it that much more. Um, if you guys are very impatient people, like you just like want to click a download button and it work properly, then this is for sure not for you. It's getting to that point, don't get me wrong, but it's not quite there yet. You know what I mean? Because you gotta understand that it's not Ubuntu, it's not any Linux distro's fault. It's just simply these companies that are out there that just are not producing um, the apps for Ubuntu Linux. That's why you have third-party developers, who are just working day and night to try to make sure that certain apps work with Linux and stuff like that, or finding ways to around, to make it work with a Linux distro. Which I love the community. That's another thing. I love the community that is in Linux, because if you could join any Facebook chat, Discord chat, any forums online, you can find them, and there's a lot of very helpful people on there that will help you solve an issue. Like for this one, homeowners, I'm fine. I'm slowly starting to get to that point where, I'm on, like I Google on, I go on YouTube and I figure it out. There's like a Dell. I think there's a Dell docking station that might work with Ubuntu. I just gotta buy it. I don't have the money for it right now, but it's not like I need all three screens right now. You know what I mean? I can easily just be like, I'll wait on it. If I can figure it out, good. If not, I'm not gonna miss it. I can always go get an actual PC, do my triple boot on a PC, and just be happy with it with the video card. Or that's another thing. I could get a external graphics card, and maybe that'll work. But again, it's just I gotta get to the point where I can afford to do that, and then see if it works. But there's a lot of options out there. So to kind of just put everything into to one point. Do I miss Windows? No, I do not. Is it affecting? Is switching to Linux affecting my everyday life? Absolutely not. Anything that I can do in Windows, I can do in Linux. Sometimes even better. Sometimes it works even better. Um, like in Windows, for some reason, I just never figured out how to connect by GitHub to my VS Code, and in Linux, I immediately figured it out. I don't know why. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. But no, I do not miss Windows. It is not ruining my everyday life. Anything I can do in Windows, I can do in Linux. Besides, preference. It's not because I was just too lazy to honestly learn the whole free video editing program on Ubuntu. I was just a little bit used to Adobe. That's the only thing. But I mean, once I have the time and I can learn it, then I'll do that switch. Because I've used it before. It is a great program. That's just, I don't want to take the time. And it does run a little bit slow. But no, I can't sit here and tell you guys like, hey, like, it's a bad choice. Like, honestly, I'm enjoying it. I don't miss Windows. There's very, very little things that I can't do on Linux that I could do on Windows, but it's like a very small thing. I just do wish that a lot more companies would get developers to move some stuff into Linux, knowing that Linux is becoming a huge thing. Again, most of the servers, cloud-based platforms are running off of Linux servers. So I hope these companies eventually do move on and start pushing more stuff towards Linux distros. That would be heaven sent, you know what I mean? But besides that, there's ways around to getting everything to run in Linux, guys. I mean, shoot, I don't wish I could sit here and tell you guys bad things about Linux. It's just simply there's really not much to say. The switch wasn't that difficult for me, and it won't be. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and see you on the next one.